You've had your hearing aids for 5 years, maybe 6. The batteries last and they turn on every morning and you can hear something. So when your audiologist mentions upgrading to newer technology, your first thought is probably, why? These hearing aids still work. And I get it. Hearing aids are expensive. If they're still functioning, why replace them? But let me ask you this. If you had diabetes and your doctor kept you on the same treatment for 6 years, even though there were better medications that had come out that could control your blood sugar more effectively, would that really be good medical care? I'm Dr. Layne Garrett, founder of Timpanogos Hearing and Tinnitus here in Utah. And I've been fitting hearing aids for over 20 years. And what drives me crazy is how our industry treats hearing aids like toasters instead of what they are, medical devices for treating a chronic progressive condition. And today I'm going to tell you exactly when it's time to upgrade your hearing aids, why the technology really does matter, and how to think about this decision the same way you think about managing any other chronic health condition. Let's be honest about the debate in our industry. Some audiologists will tell you to keep your hearing aids until they literally die, 5, 6, sometimes even 7 years later. Their argument is that if they're working, why spend the money? And I disagree with that approach, not because I want to sell you more hearing aids, but because that's not how we treat chronic medical conditions. According to the CDC, hearing loss is the third most common chronic physical condition in the United States, more prevalent than diabetes or cancer. It's progressive and it does get worse over time. And your hearing today is not the same as it was when you got those hearing aids 5 years ago. More importantly, the technology available today is genuinely better than what was available even 4 years ago. Not marketing hype, but actual improvements that translate to better hearing in real-world situations. In my clinic, I recommend people considering upgrading their hearing technology about every 4 years. Some people might need it sooner if their hearing has changed a lot. Some might go 5 if their hearing is stable and the technology they have is still meeting their needs. But as a general guideline, 4 years is about average. And I'll tell you exactly why. Now maybe you're thinking, I'm doing fine with my current hearing aids, but are you really? Or have you just gotten really good at managing things? Think about it. You ask what multiple times before giving up and just nodding along. Or maybe you've stopped calling friends because phone conversations are exhausting again. Your spouse is learning to not talk to you from the other room, and you're starting to arrive late to family gatherings trying to avoid the small talk chaos when everyone's talking all at the same time. You're starting to think that people are mumbling all the time again, and maybe you think maybe that's just what getting older feels like. But what if I told you that was not aging? That's your brain working overtime to try to understand the sounds that the hearing aids can't keep up with anymore. What if you could follow conversations without constantly having to focus on lip reading, and if family dinners didn't leave you drained? That's not gone forever. That's treatable. That's what better hearing technology can actually give you back. Real quick, if you appreciate getting the straight truth instead of whatever keeps you buying the cheapest hearing aids or upgrading too often, hit that subscribe button. I do 2 videos a week like this, and I'm not here to tell you what's convenient. I'm here to tell you what actually works. Now think about how we manage something like diabetes. When someone's first diagnosed, their doctor might start them with diet and exercise. If that's not enough, they add metformin. If blood sugar still isn't well controlled, they add a second medication or maybe switch to insulin. It's ongoing. It's monitored. Treatment adjusts over time. Now imagine if your doctor said, you started metformin 6 years ago and you're still breathing, so let's just leave it alone. Would that be acceptable care? Of course not. But in hearing care, that kind of thinking is everywhere. People staying in outdated technology for 6, 7, 8 years, even as their hearing changes and better options are available. What changed for me was when I realized that hearing loss isn't just an inconvenience. It's tied to real health outcomes like cognitive decline, depression, increased risk of falling, and even dementia. When your ears stop bringing in clear sound, your brain has to work overtime to fill in the gaps. And over time, that constant strain has a cost. A 2023 randomized trial published in the medical journal Lancet called the ACHIEVE study followed nearly 1,000 adults for 3 years. Among those with higher risk for cognitive decline, hearing aid users showed nearly a 50% less cognitive decline than those who didn't have hearing aids. And the 2024 Lancet Commission identified hearing loss as the single most modifiable risk factor for dementia. That's not a small side effect, that's life-changing. So when you look at hearing loss through the lens of chronic disease management, like we do for diabetes, heart conditions, and vision care, it's clear This isn't about do my hearing aids still turn on, it's about whether your treatment is still effective for your hearing, your brain, and your quality of life. Now let me show you why the technology actually matters, because this isn't just a slightly better version of what you already have. In the past 4 years, hearing aids have made a massive leap. We're talking about devices that use deep neural networks, artificial intelligence trained on millions of real-world sound environments, and no, that's not just marketing. A 2024 study found that AI-powered hearing aids can deliver up to 10 decibels better signal-to-noise ratio compared to devices from just a few years ago. If you're not an audiologist, that might sound technical, but this is what it means in real life. 10 decibels is the difference between straining to hear your spouse in a crowded restaurant and sitting back, relaxed, and following every word. It's the difference between getting through your grandkid's soccer game with a headache or actually cheering and hearing what they said after that goal. Starkey's newest microchip has 100 times the processing power compared to their 2022 devices. Phonak's AI system improves speech understanding by up to 36% in noisy settings, and Otacon's system was trained on 12 million real-world samples, so it can separate speech from background noise with incredible accuracy. This isn't like going from a 2020 Honda to a 2024 Honda, where you get a little bit better gas mileage and a bigger screen. This is like going from barely hanging on in a crowd to actually participating in life again. And I see it every week in my clinic. People walk in with 5-year-old hearing aids that technically still work, but they're drained after conversations. They're zoning out in meetings, and they're starting to avoid those family dinners in the restaurants again. When we fit them with new technology using real ear measurement verifications tuned to their specific hearing needs, within days they're saying things like, I didn't realize how much I've been missing. I can actually hear my wife in the car again. And it's not a placebo effect. We measure it with speech and noise testing, and the results are objective. The difference is real. A lot of people tell me, my hearing aids still work, so I'm fine. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the cost. Yes, hearing aids are expensive, and upgrading every 4 years means shelling out real money. I get it, it's not pocket change. But keeping your hearing aids for 7 years to save a few $1,000s, that savings also comes at a significant price. It's the birthday party where your granddaughter tells the family she got into college and you nod politely, completely missing the fact. It's the dinner table where everyone's laughing and you're faking it because you only caught half of the joke, not the whole thing. It's walking out of work feeling exhausted, not from work, but from trying to decode every muffled word of your coworkers. That's the real cost, not just dollars, it's moments, memories, and connection. And when your brain isn't getting the sound input it needs, it starts to work differently. You're not just missing conversations, you're missing the chance to protect your cognitive health. In our clinic, we've structured our entire approach around this reality. We offer 4-year treatment plans at an affordable monthly cost instead of big upfront payments. So when it comes time to upgrade, around year 4, you continue at that same monthly rate with the newer hearing technology. We're treating hearing loss like the chronic medical condition that it is, with ongoing care, not just one-time transactions. But does every clinic do this? No. But frankly, it should be the standard because that's what responsible long-term hearing healthcare looks like. Yes, financial realities matter. Getting proper treatment for your hearing shouldn't mean taking food off of your table. But I'll say this clearly. Stretching devices to 7 years to save money might cost you far more in quality of life, brain health, and human connection than upgrading at year 4 or 5 ever will. And if your audiologist isn't having this conversation with you transparently based on your actual needs, that's a red flag about their priorities. So when do you know when you actually need new hearing aids? Not just it's been 4 years, but what are the real signs? First, your hearing has changed significantly. If an annual hearing test shows your loss has progressed enough that your current devices can't adequately address it, even with reprogramming, it's time. When you're doing that, you're trying to put a square peg in a round hole. Second, you're starting to struggle in situations that matter again. You're exhausted after work, you're avoiding restaurants, you're missing conversations with the grandkids even though you've got your hearing aids on. That's a sign. Your technology is not keeping up with life anymore. Third, the new technology offers features that would genuinely improve your quality of life. Maybe you're back to working in an office and need better noise management. Maybe you want direct streaming to your phone that actually works. Maybe fall detection has become important as you've gotten older. These aren't arbitrary timelines. These are real indicators that your current hearing aids aren't cutting it anymore. This is where ongoing care becomes critical and where a lot of clinics drop the ball. In my clinic, I just don't see people when their devices break. We do annual hearing evaluations to track those changes over time. We do speech and noise testing to get a measurement of how well you're actually understanding, not just whether you can hear the beeps in a quiet room. And we verify every fitting with real ear measurements. That means we're placing a little microphone in your ear canal while you have your hearing aids in to confirm they're actually providing the amplification you need at each frequency. Unfortunately, only about 30% of clinics are doing this, but it is the gold standard of care. Without that, your hearing aids might be programmed completely wrong, regardless of how advanced the technology is. You can have the premium AI-powered hearing aids that are essentially useless because nobody verified that they're set up right for your ears. We talk about whether your current technology is still meeting your needs or whether it's time to consider upgrading. Sometimes the answer is your hearing is stable and your current technology is working great. Let's wait. Sometimes there's new technology available that can genuinely help you hear better in the situations that are mattering to you. The point is making informed decisions based on your specific situations, not just automatically replacing your hearing aids on schedule or automatically keeping them until they die. Both approaches miss the mark. So bottom line, should you upgrade your hearing aids every 4 years? The answer depends on whether your hearing has changed, whether you're struggling despite proper fitting and verification, and whether new technology offers real improvements for your lifestyle. But the bigger point I'm trying to make is treating hearing loss like what it is, a chronic medical condition that deserves ongoing monitoring and the best available treatment, not a buy it once and forget it approach. Because the question isn't, do my hearing aids still turn on? The question is, am I hearing as well as I could be? If you've been wearing the same hearing aids for years and you're starting to wonder if you're still hearing everything that you should be, don't guess. Let's find out. Drop a comment below. How long have you had current devices and are they still working the way you want them to? And if you want to dig deeper, I've put together a free learning center with honest guides to help you understand the latest hearing aid technology and how to evaluate what's right for you. The link is in the description. And if you're here in Northern Utah, we'd be happy to give you a straightforward evaluation at any of our clinics that includes real ear measurements and speech and noise testing to show you what's really going on. You'll leave with real answers, not a sales pitch. Thanks for watching. Remember, don't settle for just getting by when you could be hearing clearly again.
A world of better hearing and relief from tinnitus is within reach, and we're here to help. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast right now and join us on the journey to clearer sound and a richer life. Thanks for listening to the All Ears Hearing and Tinnitus podcast with Dr. Layne Garrett. We'll see you next time.